at the National Incubation Center, Karachi, and I welcome you all to this exciting episode of Fireside Chat with Dr. Muneeb Ali. So, before we begin, I would like to give a brief intro about NIC Karachi's partnership with Stack Pakistan and what Stack Pakistan will be doing for the community in Pakistan, and then we can begin our chat with Dr. Muneeb. So we've just finalized our MOU with Stack Pakistan, where the team is going to help the community with free sessions on blockchain and building decentralized apps, and also customized training sessions for our community, whereas NIC Karachi is going to help Stack Pakistan with the overall outreach of their entire program, and also, I believe, help in scouting a community lead in Karachi as well. So, Stack Pakistan is a software for user-owned internet, and it is one of the easiest way to build decentralized apps that can scale up. And the Pakistan chapter is the pilot project of the company that will help the community grow and serve as a vehicle for the local community to adopt user-owned internet apps on blockchain and Bitcoin. So thank you so much, Dr. Muneeb. He's one of the co-founders and CEO of Hero Systems Public Benefit Corporation, which is located in New York City. And this whole initiative is his brainchild, and we're excited to have him here today at NIC Karachi for a live session with the community. So thank you so much, Dr. Muneeb, for joining us. And since the time is too short, so let's just begin. We would like to know your story and your journey to begin with.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. So just a quick overview of what Stacks is. The way to think about this is that originally when the internet was designed, it was actually meant to be a open, decentralized network, like I'm talking about, late 80s, early 90s. And that was the property that, attracted a lot of people to the internet because anyone can can connect to it, anyone can build businesses on top and so on. And over the last 10, 15 years, we've actually noticed that there are a handful of large tech monopolies that have taken a lot of control of the internet. Like we've recently seen how, Facebook and WhatsApp were changing their privacy policies, and they own all the user data, and they are always kind of like invading people's privacy and so on. So a lot of the recent efforts to re-decentralize the internet are all about building better open infrastructure that can actually take the internet back to its original roots, where the people are more in control instead of companies. And very interestingly, some of these technologies are the same technologies that power Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is a very central piece of this movement of decentralizing the internet again. And the internet never had a native currency. Bitcoin, for the first time, is a native asset, almost like a reserve currency for the internet. And it happens that from a technical perspective, it also is a foundational layer for building a next generation internet, and that's the work that we've been doing. थोड़ी आपने मेरी journey की बात की. Let me start from my I grew up in Pakistan. Rawalpindi में mostly early education थी. My dad is from the Pakistan Army. Yeah, they still live there. And उसके बाद I was always interested in computers. Like I just remember getting my first computer in like 96, 97, and just spending an insane amount of time. Like I would just stay up all night doing like, weird hacking around on Linux operating systems or different type of like networking tooling. And I just knew I wanted to kind of like become a computer scientist. That's what I studied at LUMS. So LUMS may obviously had a really great time, had some really, really good professors who were able to guide me. मुझे याद है कि एक कंप्यूटर नेटवर्किंग का कोर्स लिया था मैंने लम्स में. आई थिंक इट वाज इन माय थर्ड ईयर और समथिंग. एंड जो बुक हम यूज़ करते थे दैट वाज फ्रॉम प्रोफेसर लैरी पीटरसन. ही इज़ ए प्रोफेसर एट प्रिंसटन यूनिवर्सिटी, और उसकी मतलब टेक्स्ट बुक यूज़ होती है हर जगह पे. And I just remember reading that book and knowing that even within computer science, like that is the area I want to specialize in. Like computer networking is all about next generation internet protocols, and what became data centers and so on. So I was very I'm very grateful that I got the opportunity to actually work with Larry Peterson and some of the other professors at Princeton during my PhD. And not only that, the work that we ended up doing at Stacks, it is now included in that textbook as a next generation internet architecture. So in many ways, like we're very grateful that I've come back full circle, that the textbooks that actually motivated me to go and do work on kind of like computer networks now include the work that we have done, right? So it's all, obviously it has been a long ride. We This project has been around for 7 years now. We have raised around $75 million in funding from various VC firms and large institutions, and even the general public. Like one of our offerings was open to the general public in the US and all around the world. And now we have because the way the technology works, there is a cryptocurrency that's needed to kind of like power the smart contracts and the applications that run on the Stacks blockchain. And that cryptocurrency it trades everywhere internationally, including the US, and it is used by users. So if you want to register a username, for example, or if you want to run a smart contract, so you need some small amounts of this cryptocurrency, and it has a trading market cap just like Bitcoin. So just like you can go and purchase Bitcoin either as a store of value, or if you want to make payments in Bitcoin, you can go and purchase Stacks cryptocurrency if you want to use it in smart contracts, or if you want to earn Bitcoin on it. There's a very unique link to Bitcoin. So we have a roughly, I think, 450 million market cap right now in terms of the value of the cryptocurrency. And in some ways, like, it's still early days, right? Like this is not like, not a lot of people in the world know about smart contracts or decentralized applications. Like most people still use the Web 2.0 type, WhatsApp or Facebook type applications, or traditional banking infrastructure. Whereas ये जो नई wave एक technology की आ रही है, is like, I think the best way to think about it is internet was very revolutionary, and it changed everything. Like if you could have been a engineer or an entrepreneur in the late 90s or mid 90s or so, you could have had a huge impact on how the internet shaped, right? लेकिन ये अभी जो हो रहा है, this is potentially even a bigger opportunity than that, right? The crypto internet with Bitcoin is likely going to be more disruptive to the world than even the internet was. And it's, I know it's a very big claim, but I don't take this claim very, I take this claim very seriously. I truly believe that this is what's going to happen, because the internet really did not disrupt the financial sector. The internet did not replace currencies that people use. The internet did not replace banks or other large financial institutions or derivatives and trading, but all of that is happening on this next generation crypto internet, where almost like the rate of innovation in this area is just like mind-boggling. Like recently, to give you an idea, when I started working in the industry, like Bitcoin was around $90 at that time, and the entire industry had a market cap of, I don't know, maybe a couple of $1 billion. The crypto industry just reached a market cap of $1 trillion recently, right? So this is a huge industry, and again, it is early days. It is early days. Like so, if my biggest message to people who are listening would be, if you're an engineer, if you're an entrepreneur, or even if you're not an engineer and you're looking for where the next big thing is going to be and where you want to go and work and invest your time and effort. Like by far, the biggest use of your time would be to go and work in the crypto industry.
So I think मेरे अगले जो 2 सवाल थे उनका आपने जवाब इसी उसमें दे दिया. So I just wanted to ask that since Stack Pakistan का ये initiative है, so digital currency में what are the opportunities now that you see, which I'm sure you've already in a way answered, but थोड़ा सा अगर आप उस पे you can throw light on that. And
Sure.
then what is Web 3.0, if you can just talk on that also a little bit.
Sure. So first of all, the Stacks Pakistan is a local chapter. So we have Stacks is an open source project. It's a decentralized network. There's a company that I run. Think of that as that company built the initial public infrastructure, but we don't control it. Like we don't run the network. So that's actually the biggest difference. Let me walk you through it a little bit. Imagine that Facebook है जिस तरह Facebook data centers own करता है, ठीक है. Data centers में all the servers are owned by Facebook. Facebook operates the network as well, right? So आपका सारा data जो है वो Facebook के data centers के ऊपर पड़ा हुआ है, and Facebook has full control over it, right? That's the Web 2.0 model. Web 3.0 model में instead of companies, you have these computer protocols that have incentives baked in, right? So Bitcoin or Stacks gives people incentives to connect their nodes and then run the network, right? So a lot of different people around the world are actually running the network. Like it's an open network. Anyone can come and boot up a node, connect to the network, run it, and there's no company in the middle, right? And it's not that it's there are actually mathematical guarantees and game theory behind how these networks are open and decentralized. Right? So once you have a drastically different foundational layer, then developers can start building applications, and those applications, like we have more than 400 applications built on top of the Stacks network, and they range all the way from alternatives to WhatsApp, Instagram, you know, Evernote, or blogging software, and so on. So just like for people, they're actually probably not going to see that big of a difference. Normal users के लिए difference ये होगा कि भाई instead of signing up on a website, they need to understand what private keys are. Private keys are, they should think of that as a very long, very strong password. And using private keys, people can own Bitcoin. People can own usernames on this on Web 3.0. They can own their data on these applications, right? But you truly own it, right? एक mental model इस चीज को understand करने का ये भी हो सकता है कि on the crypto internet there are property rights, right? कि आपकी अपनी property है वहाँ पे जो कोई आपसे ले नहीं सकता, ठीक है? There are mathematical guarantees behind it. So if you are the owner of a private key and you own, let's say, a Bitcoin on it, there is no way anyone out in the world can actually take that away from you. That's your property. And similarly, Stacks extends that concept to say that here's a private encrypted home drive for you where you can keep your data. Here's a username for you, like a global username for the internet that you can use on all these applications. So it's a major shift between never having property rights on the internet to having a user-owned internet where the people are in control.
So Asfar just mentioned something in our chat that anything on the regulation side that you would like to share something with us, or legalization of cryptocurrency, is that actually going to help here in?
Yes. So I think जब भी कोई इस तरह नई technology आती है, regulators become afraid of it because they don't understand it and so on. And I think right now there is actually a huge opportunity, especially for Pakistan, to have crypto-friendly regulations. And and actually try to be ahead of the curve. Like the way to think about this is, whenever a huge technical shift happens, a new race almost starts, that which countries are going to benefit from it, right? And I know that in Pakistan there's a general feeling that, that we probably did not uh, uh, we did not capitalize on the general computer revolution or the general internet revolution. Like if you look at the startup sector in Pakistan, it's relatively small compared to the rest of the world. But what if I tell you that, you can start from a clean slate again, right? A new race is about to start. And the countries that are going to do really, really well in this new race are the ones who actually jump onto the next generation technologies faster, right? It's a little bit like saying, that instead of worrying about our dial-up internet or telephone lines infrastructure, we just forget about it, and we invest in mobile infrastructure and make sure that everyone in Pakistan has a mobile phone, right? So it's something like that. Like we can almost like forget about the the general IT industry or the internet startups, and just really run hard towards the crypto internet, because that's where the future is going, right? So some of the so we have actually done a bunch of work with regulators even in the US, because regulators around the world are they're struggling with understanding like what these technologies are and how to work with them. We're actually the first cryptocurrency that got a SEC qualification for the token offering in the US. Uh, SEC in the US is the regulator that actually regulates Wall Street, right? So they regulate all of the public IPO markets in the US, and it's obviously an extremely powerful, extremely sophisticated regulator. And securities regulations in the US have been around since 1933, and this was the first time that an asset that was actually not a equity in a company was qualified by the regulator, meaning that they were able to understand what this thing is, how is it different, what's the legal framework behind it, what are the accounting frameworks behind it, and they allowed our offering to go through, which was great, right? And similarly, I am I'm at the initial stages of getting involved with some work in Pakistan. My message to anyone who's listening, especially anyone involved in the government or has contacts to people that they can talk to, is think of this as like, if Pakistan does not have a cryptocurrency exchange, this is like saying that you don't have a ISP, like you're disconnected from the internet, like you do not even have a internet service provider, and all of your population is actually disconnected from the internet right now. You do not want to be in that situation. You want to make it super easy for people in Pakistan to connect to the crypto internet, to be able to access cryptocurrencies and not miss out on the revolution that is happening. And then I think to dive a little bit deeper, कुछ लोगों से जो मैं बात कर रहा था कि पाकिस्तान में क्या इश्यूज हैं लोगों को, श्योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग का भी है कि there's a complicated piece of technology and they don't fully understand it, but पाकिस्तान में it seems like कि concern ये है कि Bitcoin use होगा money laundering के लिए, or somehow people would buy Bitcoin just to kind of like hide money or something like that, and government regulators might be concerned with it. These are easily solvable things, right? Like, because you can have a regulated cryptocurrency exchange where you can allow, let's say, purchase of Bitcoin, uh, you like trading of Bitcoin between, let's say, PKR and Bitcoin, but you disable transfers. It's a trivial thing to do, right? And you can even ask for KYC information for every user of the exchange. So it's fully regulated under the government. No one is transferring Bitcoin anywhere, but you give them exposure to the technology, like you give them exposure to the asset. Because what's happening is Bitcoin is actually becoming something like a global reserve currency, right? Like as other currencies are getting devalued because of inflation, Bitcoin is becoming like a big hedge to inflation, right? Because it has a fixed amount. It's like almost like gold. It's like gold 2.0. And not only that is gold 2.0, it is programmable, right? So people can actually start writing computer programs against Bitcoin and start using it in financial products, in derivatives, and in all of these things. And those are the functionalities that we provide through smart contracts on stacks. But imagine that we all realize how USD reserves are important for the country. We all realize why gold reserves are important for the country. I would argue that Bitcoin reserves might be more critical for a sovereign nation than your dollar reserves or your gold reserves in the future, right? So you absolutely have to start thinking about this like right now, not only at the government level but also at the individual level, because you can see the writing on the wall, right? Like the United States government just printed like 30% more money or something like that, and they might actually print a lot more money very soon. So not only that the dollar is going to get devalued, other currencies in the world are also going to get devalued, and a revolution is happening that is going to completely disrupt how the internet works, how Wall Street works, how the financial markets work, and if we don't have access, we will be completely left behind in Pakistan.
चले, that's so I think अभी 5 minutes रह गए हैं, so we'll just end this with a rapid fire round. I'll just ask 2-3 questions, simple sentence में आपको जवाब देना है, and then you can close with your overall message of your message for the startup. So what motivates you to get out of bed every morning?
I think it's. I actually enjoy doing this work, like in the sense that even if I wasn't getting paid, and I was not actually getting paid for many years, like I would just still do this work. So I think it's just that. Yeah, I can't stop working on it, right? Like people have to actually stop me from like, hey, you need to take a break.
Okay. Okay. 3 apps you use the most in your phone.
On my phone, I think they're mostly communication apps because like basically, things like Discord. We have a large community on Discord. We have around like 33,000 people on Telegram, and they're asking questions or they're trying to communicate a lot. And sometimes like, so I'm actually pretty active on Twitter as well. If people want to learn more about Bitcoin or crypto, I'm fairly active there. My handle is @Muneeb, which is my first name, Muneeb.
All work. Chale. A food you can have every day.
So interestingly, I sometimes my wife makes fun of me that I'm like a robot. Like I would actually eat the same food every day anyway. So for breakfast, I have the set thing. I eat the same stuff every day. But luckily for lunch and dinner, my wife actually cooks like really good different foods. But breakfast is the same thing every day.
Chale. Okay, so my last question, what if you won a lottery of USD $50 million, but you're sent to an island with no internet, no technology? What are you going to do with that money?
Uh, I think mm, I would just like read and write. Like I really want to write some books. And I think almost money is like irrelevant in both cases, even if you could do something or you couldn't. Like obviously, I'm not saying money doesn't help. Like it helps you free up your time and have certain comfort level. So I would be writing a book in a more comfortable location, and be just not be distracted by things that would take up my time otherwise.
Chale. Thank you so much. And finally, aapke, your message for the Pakistani community startups specifically, and your partnership with NIC Karachi and Peshawar.
Yeah, so I think the biggest reason why I'm here is that I really want to tell the future entrepreneurs in Pakistan about this literally a revolution that's happening, a revolution that's actually disrupting Silicon Valley, right, and Wall Street. So imagine a lot of you might be thinking that, hey, we want to be a part of Silicon Valley. I'm telling you something that is actually going to disrupt Silicon Valley, and this is where the future is going, and you need to start learning about it. And you can be anywhere in the world and be part of this revolution, right? It is actually not centered in California or Silicon Valley at all. It's a very global movement, and I almost feel like a personal responsibility of going around and and educating people about what's happening, especially in Pakistan, given I was born and raised there. So that's why we are actually starting some research centers in the country. We are starting the Stacks chapters. We are partnering with a lot of incubators, startup incubators. Interestingly, there's more funding available than developers in this ecosystem. Like if you are an engineer trying to write code or build applications in this ecosystem, like there's literally more money available than people, right? So if you're looking for opportunities, like this is the play. These are the skills to learn, like how to write smart contracts, or how to build decentralized applications, or even like how to contribute to open source crypto projects. Like it's an extremely valuable skill, and not only that, a lot of jobs and opportunities are in this area. There are opportunities for actually building significantly large businesses that that's what drives entrepreneurs, that they want to make a difference, and at the same time like create value as well. So you will not only the probability of creating a lot of value or making a dent on the world is much higher, just if you're working in the right industry. And I think my message is crypto is the right industry to pay attention to right now.
Thank you so much for your time. On Zoom. And inshallah, hope things get better and we get to host you in person in Karachi soon, inshallah. And Aswar, anything from your end before we close the session?
It was a great 30 minutes of learning, and we got to know the point. And great. Thank you, Dr. Muneeb. And it was wonderful listening to you. I hope we spread this message of what the future holds for internet and for entrepreneurship and for creating better products. So thank you very much for your time.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so
Take care.
much. Allah Hafiz.